Hello, this is the RPG Talk Show. My name is Daniel Ivey, and this is
John Welker, Vice President of RPG Research. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization who researches the effects of all role-playing games in all formats. Go to rpgresearch.com for more information. And yes, if you go to rpgresearch.com/donate, you can help us out to keep these shows on the air and to keep our training of professional dungeon masters going.
yes,
So today on Just Talking,
yeah.
our
a couple of things that we
first
wanted to talk
segment.
about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was there anything specific that you wanted to bring up other than the topics I had already put in the queue?
Honestly, I thought that was a bit interesting when you sent me the article about Cobalt Press and the doctor who is using Cobalt Press and Dungeons & Dragons for therapy.
Yes.
I believe they're using Geek Therapeutics.
Well, Kobold Press is using games to... their books are being used for mental health benefits in games. And it was the organization, now that you put me on that...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you guys go to coldbloodpress.com. There'll be a link in there.
Thank you, Hearth.
It's being done in Cornwall.
Yeah.
But the place that they got their stuff from in America and how to do this, for an access in the game, amazing. Finding a gaming. Yeah, you caught me off guard. You asked me a question out of order that I was looking at to say things in.
I'm trying to help, and I'm just getting in trouble.
Yeah, no, you're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. I mean, I can tell you that they're using Deep Magic, Tomes of Heroes, and the Annie-nominated Kobold Guide to Role-Playing, which we don't have. We should get one of those.
We should.
Their organization that they work with is not Game to Grow, I don't believe. It's Geek Therapeutics.
Yeah, it is. I saw that.
And there is a difference between using a pre-built role-playing game, supplement, or module for therapeutic effects, and writing them directly for that purpose. Game to Grow put out a product called Critical Core, and that was written specifically for therapeutic uses. The whole role-playing game was. If you might look down there, we have a book. Yeah, those things are the stuff that I put out for just...
Yeah.
So that is one of the multiple guides that are coming out for people to use role-playing games in therapeutic settings.
Yeah.
We have one ourselves. And we provide training on Saturdays. You can watch us on YouTube for that. And it doesn't cost you anything to watch. You want to join us, you might have to get the book when it comes out with the new one.
Yeah. I believe Hawk is still working on the new edition.
He definitely is. This is the third edition of our training. And this is training that goes beyond, this is a dice and this is how you play the game.
Yeah.
It does go into the therapeutic, the educational parts, some
of the neuroscience as well.
The neuroscience behind gaming, the neuroscience of learning. And when you're done with the first year, you are as close to being a professional as anybody out there. And we have multiple years of training planned.
Yeah.
Because we want to set the standard for what a professional game master is, as well as set the standard for what a therapeutic game master is. Now, some other companies are already going out there, trying to create their own certificate systems. We're working real hard to make sure that ours means something.
Yeah.
That you're not just spending a lot of money for a piece of paper. That you are spending your effort to gain something that people will look as the industrial standard.
Yeah, I believe when I've spoken to Hawk, he's mentioned that based off of some of the things that are already in the training, we're just a couple of steps in addition to just him completing writing the stuff. That some of his stuff is useful for could be eventually implemented as college credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll go into the history of role-playing games and all those other things.
Yeah.
And companies like Cobalt Press and pretty much all of the major companies have already given us a license to utilize their materials in any of our programming.
Yeah.
Whether it's the nonprofit side or the for-profit with RPG.LLC.
Yeah.
This includes Dungeons and Dragons, Cobalt Press, everybody but Green Ronin. And I've heard Hawk hasn't gone into it yet to try again, but he has been encouraged by Green Ronin to try again.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the person he talked to says maybe you just talked to the wrong person. Yeah, because all corporations are made of individuals, and unfortunately, one individual with a bad attitude can give people the wrong impression about the entire company as a whole. Which is why I try to keep things going properly, that people don't think I am not RPG research.
Yeah, we do at RPG Research, and this is something that we're aware of. We do try to stay neutral, and that is difficult at times because I know I'm not a neutral person, but I understand how important neutrality is because it gives a place for everyone to come to and find common ground.
And by neutrality, we're not just talking product neutrality. We're going to be neutral and honest about our opinions about products, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons or thirsty lesbian sword fighters.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what it's called?
I can't remember, but I'm familiar enough with that RPG. If we can play test it, I'll be happy with that. I'll be fine.
Thirsty. Okay.
Thirsty
sword lesbians.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. I've been told that I sound like I'm exploring the back rooms, wherever that is. This is RPG Talk Show. My name is Daniel Ivy, and this is
John Wilker, Vice President of RPG Research. I've already introduced myself, and if you missed it, watch it again from the beginning.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about
Thirsty Sword Maidens,
no, it's Thirsty Sword Lesbians by Evil Hat Games.
Okay.
And we were only bringing it up in the context that we are neutral on game companies, whether it's Evil Hat's Thirsty Sword Lesbians or if it's Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
We're going to review them all. We're going to put them comparisons, whether or not we can use them for therapeutic, educational, or entertainment.
Yeah, we try to have professional opinions on it, not necessarily. Oh, I don't like the CEO of this one company, so I'm gonna bash on their products.
Right.
No.
Also, we're going to try to avoid, though eventually we'll come up with things like what color are orcs, what culture orcs. We've talked about this a little bit, but
Well, I mean, that's a simple answer. It depends on the game.
it depends on whose crayon is.
Yeah, it depends on the game master.
Right. Yeah. It also, these are the kinds of things. That's about as political as we want to get into on things.
Yeah.
We're not for gatekeeping. We're not for excluding anyone. And try to remember, some of the people that you may want to think of as somebody that may be excluded might be your instinct to exclude them because they need it more than you do.
Yeah. Actually, I'm reminded of a story that Hawk has with a couple of people that he's gamed with.
Right.
Where in real life, they absolutely hated each other. They could not stand each other. But in game, they worked like a very effective, very competent team. And this isn't the only thing I've seen this with. Where when you have games that are being run in prisons,
gang members working, enemy gang members
or enemy population groups working together and using the game as a way to find common ground. And it isn't just when Hawk did it. I've heard like on TikTok other ex-prisoners saying, yeah, the skinheads were working with the working with the
Latinos and the Afro-Americans
and the African-American gangs, because I mean they didn't want to cancel the game.
Yeah.
If someone runs a good game, they run a good game.
There was an entire documentary that we were trying to help promote. Went to Gen Con to try to get it. It was a Kickstarter for Let's Play Dungeons and Dragons in Prison.
Yeah.
I don't know if the title was a bad title or why.
That sounds like that they needed to workshop that a bit.
Yeah. But it did not go over and stuff. But the point is, the use of role-playing games for therapeutic, educational, and rehabilitative purposes is available. So sometimes the person who you might decide doesn't need to be in a game session needs to be in a game session with the right people so they can learn skills like problem solving, empathy,
absolutely,
and reading.
Yeah.
It all depends on the group you're with. I have definitely used role-playing games to teach logic.
Yeah.
To teach information gathering and problem solving. Math, science, history. It's all started with
negotiating tactics.
Yes.
I'm thinking Top Secret New World Order.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Well, I think we spent enough time on that. I want to get to the main just topic, unless you have something else to say.
No, I don't feel like derailing you further.
Oh, okay. You're not going to ask me a question that I know the answer to, but it's too early in my brain cycling to come up with?
Yeah, I'm not going to derail you again, like.
Choo-choo.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So, I'm assuming that most people that are listening don't know who William Deere is.
Remind me who William Deere is.
William Deere wrote a book called Dungeon Master. We have a copy of the book right there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So why don't you show that off? And this was done back in the 70s, 80s, 1979.
Yeah.
Just as I was getting started in role playing, when I first became a dungeon master.
Really? You weren't running a table right next to the Last Supper?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
I was not at a bacchanal playing role playing games of any sort.
Okay.
I'm not that old.
Okay. No, I don't think it's too soon. I think it's too old. That one didn't age well.
So he wrote the book that you just showed there.
Yes.
And John Hamm is producing and going to be in a podcast based on that book.
Now I know that that's not the first video formatted thing that has been made based off of that book, because we have Mazes and Monsters right here.
Right. Now here's the weird thing about the Mazes and Monsters thing.
Yeah. Other than it's one of Tom Hanks' first works.
Yeah, it is completely fictional.
Yeah.
It is based on one of the suggested reasons for Egbert's
disappearance.
Yeah. And it was one of the worst things to happen to role-playing as far as PR is concerned.
Yeah, didn't it kind of kick off the Satanic Panic?
It really did help with that greatly.
Now, for context, what happened with Egbert was he went to college and he was into role-playing games, and he was a major missing persons story for a while.
Yep.
And this detective saw some things about Dungeons and Dragons in his dorm room.
Yeah, he saw that he had D&D book.
Yeah, and kind of thought, okay, maybe this is the reason, and hypothesized that he had gone into the steam tunnels to do, I guess, a bit of LARPing. On a completely unrelated note, Egbert used to make, customizer drugs, and that may have been a better reason as to why he was just vanished.
Well, there were several things.
Yeah, there were several things.
Like his depression, the fact that he was gay during a time that wasn't very safe.
There's a lot of reasons. I think D&D is one of the least important ones, but they latched onto that.
Right. He actually had like 11 different ideas of what happened to Egbert, and I should call him Dallas. Call him by his first name.
Yeah.
So he wrote a story. The press really glommed onto these two fantastic ideas, because if it bleeds, it leads. If it's insane, it rains money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And if someone died, go live. Yeah.
So John Hamm is doing a podcast based on this, and it has several celebrities in it.
Okay.
Which is the only reason I really want to give it a thing, because people who know better than to dig into that propaganda that those ideas were, Felicia Day, Will Wheaton.
Okay, good.
Will Wheaton plays Gary Gygax.
Okay.
Now, before I get more in talking into what actually happened and everything else, there is a Q Code trailer. Q Code is the company. Q Code Media is the company that is doing the podcast. They're the ones producers. So, if we can, I would like to listen to the introduction of the podcast. This is the best way to explain it.
Okay.
We'll discuss it more, and then we're going to discuss more about what really happened after that part. One quick note: William C. Deere, the detective that was investigating the disappearance, actually just recently died on July 5th of this year, which may or may not have anything to do with the timing of when the podcast. Could be just because this is the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons.
It may be.
And people are remembering the history, including the domestic fear that happened.
Yeah. And I'm probably going to, segue this into one of my favorite topics, but we'll talk about Dr. Frederick Wortham.
Sure,
after, and the connections and how history tends to repeat itself sometimes, or at least it rhymes. Yeah.
All right. So if we can run that, I would be grateful. As I'm waiting for technology to show up here.
And if it doesn't seem like it's going her to just give us a heads up.
I could probably play it on mine close enough to the mic that'll be listened to. But the does it sound like a A-list movie?
You want to just
Picking up the desktop mic.
Okay, so let's see if
maybe I can just play it straight out.
Rain, did you Hurt, did you hear that?
Yeah.
He's going to play it on his laptop over here.
Fine.
Oh, okay. Okay. OBS resets things.
Hi, listeners. This is series creator David Kushner, and I'm very excited to introduce Dungeon Masters.
They're listening to
a
it.
new
We're not,
fiction
so
podcast that gives a behind-the-curtains look into the world of Dungeons and Dragons, told through the lenses of the co-creator of the game, Gary Gygax, and the private investigator William Deere, a swashbuckling tough guy in 1979. Gygax guides us through this incredible story as our Dungeon Master, as we follow Deere on his quest to find Dallas Egbert III, a Michigan State student who supposedly disappeared in the steam tunnels under his university while enacting a real-life version of D&D. What Deere encounters on this journey and ultimately discovers defies all expectations and changes the culture as we know it. Join us on Dungeon Masters, where myths are debunked, legends are born, and the line between hero and myth is redrawn.
Called my mama the other day. She said, "You sound lonesome, son. What's got you today?"
Greetings, new player, adventurer, seeker of enlightenment, hero of this campaign. I am your Dungeon Master. And you, your name is William Charles Deere. Your race, human, Texan. Class, world-famous private investigator.
Ladies and gentlemen, the real-life James Bond, William Deere.
That would be me.
Your quest begins with these two elder humans. 8 days ago, their 16-year-old son, James Dallas Egbert III, a sophomore here at Michigan State University, walked out of his dormitory and hasn't been seen since.
Please, detective, you're the only one who can help us.
I'll deliver your son as if he were my own. And that's a promise that's dear.
Was the boy kidnapped or did he run away?
Is Dallas alive?
Are you going to solve the case?
Are you really just a snake oil salesman cashing in on the satanic panic?
Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook.
D&D has got to go. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Lot of strange folks down in there, and they don't play no games in these parts.
Kill the Texan! Kill the Texan!
Help! I'm trapped inside! Get me out of here!
Nothing that can help you now.
I don't know what game you're playing, but I ain't turning back on you now.
If this is a game, Detective, it seems that you are now in the hands of a dungeon master. And where this DM will take you, only he knows.
Discover how one game, one mystery, and two unlikely heroes.
I'll flip your son as if he were my own.
Okay, we're back. Okay, are we back? Yes? Okay, wonderful. So that was the trailer?
That was the trailer for Dungeon Masters. I do want to point out a couple of things. One, it's called Dungeon Masters and not Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master is the title of the original book by William Deere.
Yeah.
William Charles Deere. The other thing to point out is this is being listed as fiction.
Yeah.
It's based on a real event, but the podcast is listed under fiction.
Yeah.
So take what they say with a grain of salt.
It's a dramatization.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how much has been changed from the real story. I do want to, when it finally comes out, and there's no indication yet of when this will come out.
Yeah.
I want to, at least once a week, bring it up in the Just Talking section.
Okay.
The other thing I want to bring out, besides the fact that it is fiction, the name has been changed from Dungeon Master to Dungeon Masters. It is going to stir up some controversies for a lot of people.
Well, I mean, it's a sensitive topic, and we've experienced people who are still in the mentality that we have to either smile and nod and start a conversation that we can have with them, or lightly step through and guide them through the idea that role-playing games and Dungeons and Dragons is not a form of devil worship.
Right.
Yeah.
There was the Chick Tracks, and they actually had a movie made about the Chick Track.
Yeah.
And they were told by the Chick family that they had to take this completely seriously, which they did.
Yeah.
And the comedy wrote itself.
Yeah. and this is not the first time, because I've got to kind of throwing out my nerd card here. Role-playing games isn't the only thing I'm into, and into researching. The other thing that and this about me, I'm a huge fan of, is comic books.
Yeah.
And one of the things that if you ever wonder why old comic books are valued at the rate that they are, it's because supply and demand, and the supply was greatly reduced because we burned them. We burned them because of the moral panic that happened because of Seduction of the Innocent and Dr. Frederick Wortham.
Right.
Yeah, he basically tried to convince, and did convince, a lot of America that comic books, movies, music, and many other things caused juvenile delinquency.
And it went from juvenile delinquency to Satan worship.
Yeah.
Where comic books, Dungeons and Dragons, rock and roll.
Yep.
Basically, if you had fun, you must be evil.
Yeah. Now, mind you, his work, Dr. Frederick Wortham's work, has been debunked. Basically, they found out that he was polling juvenile delinquents and find out what they liked, and thought, okay, because juvenile delinquents like these things, they must cause the things that cause juvenile delinquency. He wasn't testing the rest of the populace. It was just popular, and when it's popular across the board, yes, juvenile delinquents are going to appreciate it. They're people too. And there's an argument to be made that some of those stories and some of those outlets probably helped reduce juvenile delinquency. Yeah.
And increased literacy.
That too.
So, the disappearance of James Dallas Egbert III is covered, of course, in that book. We teach about it in our classes.
Yes.
But if you, as a viewer, want to look into that, we have a link, and it is a 2-part research paper, basically, into what happened.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, at times this article referred to theories involving possible homosexual child abuse of Dallas. I wish to make it clear that I'm in no way suggesting that gay men are any more likely to molest children than heterosexual men, nor that any form of sexuality is more or less valid than any others. Reference to child molestation among the gay community refers only to the actual events in question. Things happened to James. This isn't to say that everybody in the population is responsible for what happened to James.
Right.
This information is presented for the sake of completeness, and the writer apologizes for anybody offended by it. It was written by Sean Hatley, and it goes into the facts of the case. I don't want to read everything about here.
Yeah.
I do want to make everybody aware that that's where they go to. But I want to go over the list of 11 things that William Deere speculated at the time of the disappearance. One, he's probably a town up.
Okay, so he was visiting a town.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that sounds plausible.
Ahead, maybe a farm. Basically, he's looking at places that he could have ran away to.
Okay.
Probably could make it. Wouldn't it be too hard? I'm sorry. That's a poem he wrote. That's not the reasons. Let's go into the reasons.
Okay.
1, Dallas had committed suicide. We now know, in effect, that Dallas actually, during the time of his disappearance, had made multiple attempts at suicide and did not succeed.
Okay.
Dallas had gone into the steam tunnels and had been injured or killed. Steam tunnels were under the college. Dallas was playing a game. He had disappeared for the sole purpose of making people look for him.
Okay.
Dallas had overdosed on drugs. Dallas was being held by a gay man or a group of gay men.
Okay.
Dallas had been held by people who were using his knowledge of how to make drugs.
Okay.
Dallas had been kidnapped by some sort of intelligence group to make use of his special talents and intelligence.
Okay.
He was a computer hacker too.
Yeah.
Dallas had been murdered. Dallas had come to identify so much with his D&D character that he believed he was his character. Mazes and monsters.
Yeah.
The Dallas had been sent on some sort of mission by a D&D dungeon master in order to prove that he was worthy to play in an advanced game. 2 items. Dallas had been killed or injured while engaging in some sort of dangerous activity, perhaps trestling, which is basically playing tag with a train.
Okay.
Or playing chicken with a train. None of these were true.
Yeah, some of those sound pretty absurd.
Actually, because weeks later, he showed up.
Where was he?
He had been out. He had ran away, and he was attempting to commit suicide. And he was not overdosing to the point of death, but he was using drugs heavily during this time. Unfortunately, the people said, "Oh, here's a list of theories. Dungeons and Dragons sounds like something that would sell on a newspaper. Let's go with that line."
At that point, Dungeons and Dragons was very, very popular.
Right.
So, yeah, following trends.
And by the way, suicide and murder or being held hostage was Deere's favorite theories.
Okay.
He didn't even really put a lot of credence to the D&D theories. He did show up. He was fine. And then he did successfully commit suicide later.
Unfortunately.
Now, information that William Deere was not willing to share at the time because of promises made to Dallas are going to come light.
Okay.
So I'm sure they're going to be introduced in the podcast. If you read this article that we posted the example for, or if you do some of your own research, read the original book, you'll find out about that. If you want us to talk more about this topic, let us know. But we will hopefully be talking about the podcast as it comes out.
Remind me later to listen in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish they would give me a hint of when is it going to be out this year?
It's you're gonna have to wait another 50 years.
No.
You're gonna put it in a vault. Yeah.
I'm not sure I can survive that long. All right, we are getting really close to
Our first break.
our first break.
Yeah.
So the last couple things I want to mention about before we go into our first break is what we're going to do when we come back.
What are we talking about?
Well, we're going to come back from intermission, and we're going to get on to our main topic, which is behavioral guidance.
Which is not the same as behavioral modification.
Definitely. That has to be made very clear. We're not going to be talking about brainwashing or behavioral modification. We're talking about using guidance to encourage people to behave in a certain way, not force them to, not chemically induce them to, or any of those kind of things.
Yeah. So we'll be back in 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
Well, actually, we'll be back in 20 minutes because we've got just a few more minutes on our clock.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get used to that.
Yeah, we'll get used to it.
Remember, more information can be found at rpgresearch.com. And you can also contact us through email at info@rpgresearch.com. Go ahead and put talk show into the subject line so I know you're talking to us.
Okay.
Of course, the best way to talk to us is right here on the talk show itself.
Yeah. By the way, we'll see you in 20 minutes. Welcome back to RPG Talk Show. My name is Daniel Ivy, and this is
John Wilker, Vice President of RPG Research. RPG Talk Show is brought to you by RPG Research. Go to rpgresearch.com for more information. I am a recreational therapist.
Yep.
And
I only assist them.
he is a great assistant.
Yeah, I've been told that I would probably make a decent recreational therapist, but as I've discussed with many people who have talked to me about this, the primary reason why I don't is because I tend to be the counselor at my own home, and I know that it is a tough and at times taxing job.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I have those emotional and psychological resources for home.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the massage therapist who comes home at the end of the day and just doesn't want to touch another body.
Right. Yeah. So I tend to try and focus more on the entertainment side, which in its own way is a bit taxing, but at least it's using different portions of my mind, and with my background in art and whatnot, I think I can be quite useful.
Yeah.
But our main topic today is behavioral guidance.
Right. And the reason I brought up that I am a therapist is because this is more towards the therapeutic use of the game than it is the leisure, the entertainment, and maybe educational. Because sometimes you end up doing a little bit of both.
Sometimes your players need to learn.
Right. So speaking of learning, as we mentioned in the previous segment, we do training.
Yeah, we do training.
And we have a workbook, the Role-Playing Game Professional Level 1 Training Workbook.
Do you want me to go grab that?
No, people can go to Amazon and see what it is.
Yeah.
It's the second edition, and which is why, spoiler alert, I do not recommend you buy this book. Why? Why would I tell people not to buy this book? Well, unless you are going to be in our classes and want something to work out of, you're not going to need it. It's a workbook. It's not a reference.
Yeah, it's not going to make sense. Basically, it's a whole bunch of questions without the answers, and unless you're in training, you're not going to get the answers.
Right. Well, you can actually go back, watch our YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to fill in the answers that way.
Yeah.
So you can do it, but the main reason I'm telling you to wait is because we are going to eventually come out with the third edition.
Yeah.
Hopefully, actually, this year.
Hopefully. Well, I don't want to rush Hawk. No.
He's an extremely busy man.
Yes. I'm not in the too busy for people. No. You and I and many other people like, Hawk, you need to dial it down a bit. You're spreading yourself a bit too thin.
He feels like butter spread too thin over toast.
Yes. Yeah.
So
behavioral guidance.
What is that?
Okay, so it's my understanding. Yeah, we are worried about when Hawk does sleep, but we're talking about behavioral guidance here, as opposed to behavioral manipulation. Behavioral manipulation is, either overtly or covertly causing people to act a certain way. We're not trying to do that. We're not trying to gaslight people. We're not trying to, brainwash people. We're trying to say, and this is one thing that I've learned.
The term is behavioral modification.
Yeah.
That harkens back to brainwashing.
Yeah,
that's just not happening here.
I am not an operative of the CIA. No.
That's what you think.
If that's happening, then the amount of brainwashing I've gone through would have been astronomical. But that's besides the point. Let's see. One of the things that I've appreciated about working with RPG Research is, and one of the things that we tend to go by is, we challenge by choice.
Right.
If I don't feel like I'm up to it, there's no obligation because I'm a volunteer to do it. Like the other day, we do community games.
Right.
And I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it, but after I check in from my significant other, she said, "No, you're not up to this," because I'm at times a bad judge of how many spoons I have left.
Yeah, he doesn't realize that he's into the knives.
Yeah, and you've seen me when I'm like that. It's like I just crash. Unfortunately, I try not to take it out on anyone, but it's not good for anyone. I'm just not there.
I definitely understand that. So what I think we need to do is explain a little bit more about what we mean by behavioral guidance.
Yeah.
How we want people to play the game.
Yep.
Or how we want people to take away from the game certain types of behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to have empathy.
Yep.
We want people to be able to problem solve.
Yeah.
We want to help people with their anxiety.
Yeah.
And all of these things are require changes in the behavioral acts that you're doing. And we also don't want to use methods like what we call the stormtrooper method, where you're behaving badly in the game, the stormtroopers come and punish you.
Right. Okay.
Or the sheriff, the police come out and make you behave well.
In terms of carrots and sticks, there's a whole lot of sticks.
Right. So, what's a murder hobo?
Murder hobo, it is my understanding that a murder hobo is someone, well, it's a term that has many negative implications through one, the etymology of it, but also the ramifications of a player who, when bored, or just because they are seeking entertainment through it, tends to be quite lethal to everyone, with the exception of maybe other player characters.
Right. You're the person who will kill the NPC
because they can,
or because the adventure's that way. Don't waste your time talking to him.
Yeah. So Hertham's brought up murder hobo, plural of murder hobos. Role-playing game derogatory or humorous. A character who wanders the game world unattached to any community, indiscriminately killing and looting. Yeah.
Right. Now that might be a behavior that you would want to modify, especially if you're trying to tell a story.
Yeah. If you're worried about story, having a unrestrained in-game sociopath
right
can be detrimental to the plot.
Also, we have things like chaos monkeys.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you know why.
I look. There's a distinction here. Okay? I've stated and I maintain I'm a tactician. Okay? I just happen to use chaos as a tool.
Right.
Chaos is a ladder if you know how to climb it.
But, the person who thinks they're going, and this is not just tactician type stuff. This is the guy who's, everybody's sneaking through, and the chaos monkey pulls out a pair of cymbals and starts singing and clapping. And
yeah, that is not something that I would do.
Right.
Because
that's not tactical.
And this is why I'm not in it for the chaos.
Right. Now there's a whole difference between somebody who sets up a loud distraction.
Yep.
So the enemy will go that way. And somebody who's like, I know everybody's trying to be quiet, but wouldn't it be funny if?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. And I feel like Hawk is kind of like look down at me like he's being chaotic again. And every single time I've done it, okay, unless I was like, oh, for example, writing Abby Longstockings, writing the weasel, because honestly, that's just in character at that point.
Right.
But a lot of times I'm using the chaos as a tactic. Either I don't like how things are set up, so I mess up the game board and see what options I can find then.
Well, and if you're communicating with your party, I'm going to make a tactical decision here as opposed to just springing it on them.
Okay, but so I admit sometimes there's a communication issue.
Right.
Okay.
So how do we fix these communication issues? How do we discourage murder hobos if we're not playing that type of campaign?
Right.
There are murder hobo campaigns. There are campaigns where everybody is actually intentionally playing evil, which only really works if you have one of the evil people is in charge and everybody else obeys them. So it needs to be a lawful evil time like that. A full chaotic evil group will eat themselves.
Yeah. Either that or you're playing Munchkin.
Yeah, but that's
That's a card-
practically PvP.
Yeah, that's practically. What do you mean practically? what do you mean? It is PvP.
Where the backstab is an encouraged part against your people.
Yeah.
So how we want to encourage it, we can use it like, oh, you committed murder, the police come and get you. Other games, such as Doctor Who, have built-in guidance into the rules.
Yes.
And the built-in guidance helps the game master to say, well, that's just part of how the game plays. These are the rules, and we're playing by the rules. As opposed to, you're just trying to ruin my fun, or we now have a game master versus player conflict.
Yeah, and this is something that I'm happy that RPG Research believes in, and something that I've always believed in. If adversarial GMs aren't fun.
Exactly.
They're not the optimal way to play. They're not the optimal way to have fun.
When the GM is trying to win, we have a problem.
Yeah.
If the players are trying to win, let's hope it's winning by solving the story, not by beating the GM.
Right.
And there are tournaments and things like that. That's a whole another conversation. But as I mentioned, Doctor Who has their own methods.
Yeah.
And one that you get story points.
Yeah, that and the initiative system is based off of lethality, where the more lethal you go,
right, the more violent your options are.
Yeah, the more violent you decide, the lower on the initiative you're going to be. So if you just want to talk,
you're number one.
You're number one. If you want to run away,
number two.
You're number two. If you want to do something that isn't violent, you're number three.
And if you want to be violent, you're last.
Yeah, you're going to be last. You still have the choice to be violent. But if you can find other things that aren't violent, then you go up in the initiative. And I know that I've come across some absolutely absurd things in Doctor Who. That it wasn't violent, it was still effective. Like when I was playing the Rockstar and decided to deflect light rays with my oversized belt buckle.
And we were mentioning story points.
Yeah.
Story points are things that let you say, oh, I've been hit by a Darlak, I should be dead. I'm going to use some story points to save myself, and that was just a glancing blow.
Slide story points over.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I've got this great idea and I want to try something impossible. Slide story points over.
Yeah, by the way, I think when I decided that I was going to be my own disco ball with my belt buckle, I was like, yeah, Hawk, I'm cashing in 6 story points.
Right.
I knew it was absurd. Was it fun? Absolutely.
Right.
But for me, I want to save those story points so I can do off-the-wall things.
And you do, if you're going around and being non-heroic in Doctor Who, you get story points taken away. So not only a violent person might end up... A murder hobo in Doctor Who will have no story points.
Yep.
And will always be going last.
Yeah.
And probably be removed from the game quickly.
They're just if they seriously are looking for that outlet, they're not going to have fun with the game.
Yep, it's not what that game is for. So the other one that has built-in not story points, but behavioral guidance is the One Ring RPG. And the One Ring RPG also has a 5th edition version. I still haven't reviewed the new 5th edition version.
Shame on both of us.
Yep. I need to know if the Fellowship Focus, which is part of the One Ring role-playing game that helps build empathy. Also, another thing that helps build empathy is Song of Fire and Ice. Role-playing game by Community Building.
Yeah.
But the One Ring has Fellowship Focus and a Fellowship Phase, but they also have shadow points.
Yeah.
So,
I want to point out, like, okay, looks like there's a conversation in chat right now talking about Monty Python as a D&D campaign that went off the rails, hence the unusual ending. I really don't think that ending was all that unusual. It just means that there were scheduling issues and they never picked up the game, so they have to wrap it up somehow. That sounds normal for D&D. There wasn't a drastic end. There was just scheduling issues.
That actually makes sense.
Yes.
And, some games are meant to be funny.
Absolutely.
And carefree.
Paranoia.
Right?
Yep.
And where being a murder hobo is part of your job. Without being called out as being a murder hobo.
It's one of the reasons why I pulled all the pins out of the grenades.
Right.
I swear, I swear, it's... Okay, that one was Murder Hober. That was Chaos Monkey.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the other games are meant to be silly.
Yeah.
You play No Thank You Evil.
Very fun game.
It encourages children to adults to be a little bit silly.
Yeah.
You play Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition Wild Beyond the Witchlight, you're going to have a different type of feel and theme than if you're playing Ravenloft. I'm not talking Disco Strahd.
No. All I'm saying, and you know how versatile I can be.
Yeah.
I can take Wild Beyond the Witchlight and bring it into the horror genre.
There are many horror fairy tales.
Yeah.
You can do the different genres. Wild Beyond the Witchlight is one that we recommend because it has a option in every encounter to do it without violence.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can literally do a pacifist run of Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
And I'm happy to say that when I ran Wild Beyond the Witchlight to near completion, the only thing that is left is some wrap-up sessions, because my party cared about the NPCs, but in terms of freeing Zyblina, they were able to. They found a whole bunch of options that didn't result in violence. Did they resort to violence sometimes? Absolutely. Because they did not like those hags. At all. I didn't add anything to the hags. Those hags were objectively evil. They found out that the hags were objectively evil and decided, okay, this realm will be better without them. And yeah.
That's fair.
And that's fair. And at the end there was the League of Malevolence.
Yes.
Yeah. And although I felt there was a non-lethal way to deal with some of the members. I mean, some of the members, they were able to recruit. But I'm personally proud of the plan that they came up with to deal with the League of Malevolence in the Palace of Heart's Desire.
One of my Saturday games, one of the guys is playing a Paladin of Redemption. So his thing is, whenever he meets a boss, is try to convert them. Hey, join us. Become a hero instead of a villain.
Oh yeah, my party came up with a plan that instead of trying to fight the League of Malevolence, they're just going to make an introduction between the leader of the League of Malevolence and the and his bodyguard,
right?
And the Jabberwock.
I love the Jabberwock.
Yeah, and they love the Jabberwock too. So they said, "Wake up, Jabberwock! in the form of the leader of the League of Malevolence. You can see me. I look like this guy. I'm gonna race over to where he is, right in front of him, at the Jabberwock charge, and then teleport it away. It's like, oh look, he's still there.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. So, I mentioned Ravenloft earlier.
Yes.
And Ravenloft, Realm of Terror, 2nd edition. Now, we have a little policy about recommendations.
Yes.
In that we like to only recommend things that are still in print.
Yeah, we do.
And technically, through RPG.com, there's a lot of books you can get print on demand.
Yeah.
So technically, they're still in print.
Yes.
Like this one.
By the way, one of the reasons why we have that policy is so that if someone comes across our stuff, we're not sending them a resource that they can't use. But yeah.
So this is a resource. It's for 2nd edition, and the Ravenloft was one of the first behavioral guidance I've seen in any role-playing game. Because it you gained, they called them shadow points there too.
Yeah.
And you gained shadow points for any evil act you did. They even had a full chart of not only is petty theft to murder, human sacrifice, all the bad things you can possibly do. But it also graded it based on who your victim was.
Okay.
So if your victim was an innocent child, you got a lot more shadow points than if you murdered a big bad evil guy.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it went there. There was a bit of a temptation there. Because if you gained enough shadow points, you'll get some powers.
Okay.
And the example that I always fall back on, because my memory only gives me this one, but there was a whole bunch of different ones.
Yeah.
You get dark vision.
Okay.
And the downside is that your eyes glow a little bit, or reflect like a cat's eyes, in proper lighting. And you're like, oh, cool! I got some powers. But the more powers you get, the more likely you are to lose your character.
Yeah.
Just like in the One Ring role-playing game, you gain too many shadow points, you go crazy for a little while, and if it goes too far, you will lose your character entirely.
Yeah.
Just as sure as if you had died.
An example, if you're watching the movie,
Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Pulling a Boromir?
Boromir temporarily goes mad. But a character who permanently went mad was Smeagol.
Yes.
Yeah.
And his appetite for fingers was the only redeeming quality he had.
I think he would have been a lot better if someone just introduced him to a tiramisu.
Okay.
It's got ladyfingers in there.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything that tiramisu won't make better.
Yeah, you try to put one of those on a wound.
Well, you know what? If they're dressing that wound and I'm eating tiramisu, you know what? It's a little bit better.
You're going to be a little better. They're going to be hurting.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, no, I'm saying if I had the wound and they're dressing it, but I get to eat tiramisu, I mean, yeah, I still have the wound, but I also have tiramisu. It's a tiny bit better.
I would like people that are watching this either now or sometime in the future, give us other examples of behavioral guidance.
Yeah.
That they find already built in games.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things these points are concerned are called in the therapeutic realm.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a token economy.
Yeah.
You get points or tokens for certain behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in a place if you got out of bed on time, you got points.
Okay.
If you did your chores and you got points. And you get all these points for the good things you're supposed to do during the day. then you get to use those points for things like phone calls.
Okay.
You get to use those points for various different kind of rewards or freedoms or actives. And this is the carrot as opposed to the stick. You can lose points, of course, by not getting up on time.
Yeah.
You just don't get the points for that. And if you don't have enough points, you don't get to make that phone call.
Yeah.
Or watch the television or play Dungeons and Dragons or whatever it is. So in the games, a lot of these things, the One Ring and the Ravenloft, both work on the stick. While Ravenloft works on both the carrot and the stick because it's the temptation to get more points.
Yeah. But in Ravenloft, they want you. One of the aspects.
It is a horror game.
It's a horror game. They are trying to have a major theme of Ravenloft is that temptation. So mechanically, it makes sense that the stick is going to have a carrot attached to it.
In the One Ring, your real carrot is hope.
Yeah.
Which can be used to bring down your points, your fellowship focus, and things like that. But the Doctor Who with the story points is the one that really gives you that pure carrot by giving you additional points.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why it's one of our go-tos for our recreational therapy.
Right.
Yeah.
I would like to see more token economies included, and technically gold pieces and experience points are part of the token economy. But more guidance. Now, the old Star Wars had light points and dark points.
Now, I've heard some confusion where we don't really see, or at least the modern one, we don't really see those light points and dark points. I mean, yeah, it is affected by what you do, but it's not necessarily a token economy.
The Fantasy Flight version doesn't have light points, dark points. You behave the way you want, and it's regulation by Stormtrooper. If you're behaving, if you're being a criminal, then Stormtroopers will come after you. And one of the first modules actually encourages you to be a gangster or a thug. Because you're starting off on Tatooine, or my tongue.
The desert planet.
You're starting on a desert planet that's being combed with a giant pick.
I love that movie. I love that movie so much, but I'm not about to quote it.
You're trying not to. I can see it is struggling. But
you're picking at me.
I am. In the latest one, the Fantasy Flight Games version, is starting with the underbelly of it. Now they have other stories and other starter sets that start you off as a pilot, or start you as a rebel. This one starts you off as
1-800 Druida.
And it's a fun game.
Yeah.
But there are no controls in it. If you act evil, if you become a murder hobo, if you go all dark side, there's nothing in the rules to reward or punish you. There's nothing in the rules to reward you if you're heroic. That's all up to the GM to reward you with experience points, so to speak, or to punish you by sending the cops to arrest you. The old light side, dark side points, you could become a dark Jedi or a Sith, or you can become, a actual Jedi by gaining these points.
See, I feel like if they had, done an escalation of like, okay, you get X amount of dark side points, stormtroopers show up. Okay.
Well, the stormtroopers like you if you have enough dark side points.
Yeah. you get enough though, and incorporate some Star Wars lore in there. You get too many dark side points, you get invoked into the rule of 2. Are you familiar with the rule of 2?
There's always 2 Sith.
There's
The
only ever 2 Sith.
Yeah, it's a lie.
I know, but no, I'm not talking about just dark side people. But in terms of the Sith, there's only a master and an apprentice.
That's what they say, but I've seen more than 1 Sith in the room. More than 2 Sith in a room.
Yeah. I mean, were they sitting or sitting down? That was a bad pun. That was a horrible pun.
You will be punished.
I'm already being punished.
You're going to spend many years in the penitentiary.
Absolutely. Yes. But, I feel like, okay, enough dark side points and the current apprentice shows up to test you.
Right.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting. But,
the Highlander.
yeah. Now you have to go Highlander on them. It's in the prequel. Oh, too many dark side points? Darth Maul shows up to see, like, no, he's going to be the apprentice. He wants to make sure that he's the only one.
Yeah. What was it?
Yeah. But mind you, that's not in the rules.
Highlander. There was another. First and second edition Advanced D&D.
Yeah.
The monk, you had to defeat the one above you to gain a level. At a certain level, you had to.
Oh, that's.
Hey. You deal with the puns.
Oh, yeah, no. You think you can stop these puns? No. Once we get going, we get going.
It's like trying to stop a train with a marshmallow. I'm mellow about it.
You're mellow? Yeah. I mean, I feel like that train would just make us small all over the place.
It could.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have no sympathy for the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Nah. My mind went to the new Ghostbusters, but...
I haven't watched the new Ghostbusters yet, but I do know there's a lot of those little tiny Stay Puffs.
You know what? I haven't seen Afterlife yet, but I actually liked the one before Afterlife. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But mind you, I also didn't really have a problem with the all-female one. I mean, there were some issues, but I don't think it was nearly as bad as people objected to it.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people who object to things and not in an honest manner.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's McCarthy, who, the actress and comedian, and I feel like she's a female, I get the vibes of that she's a female, what's his name? Portly blonde gentleman who was on Saturday Night Live and passed away too early, and not John Belushi.
John Candy.
No. Less cerebral than John Candy.
Somebody will tell us.
Jeez.
So let's wrap up the behavioral guidance stuff. Let's a little bit on the topic. So we want to use behavioral.
Yes, Farley.
Yes, Chris Farley.
Yes, Chris Farley. I think...
That's Pocket Dragon. Haven't seen them on forever.
Thank you, Pocket Dragon. I get, and I'm not saying that she is a female Chris Farley, but I get vibes of Farleyism in there. Kind of like how and it's one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of Family Guy. I get Chris Farley vibes from Peter Griffin.
Right.
He's just an animated Chris Farley, and I wasn't a huge fan of Chris Farley's comedy either. I mean, God rest his soul, but his comedy wasn't for me.
Well, not any comic whose comedy is for everybody.
Yeah,
isn't a comic. It just can't be done.
Yeah. So I feel like, you know, when you bring in Chris Farley-isms into, like, say, Ghostbusters, I mean, it may be funny for some people. I just don't think it was a good match.
Okay.
I felt like there were other amazing parts of that movie, though. But back to behavioral guidance.
Back to
We keep on getting
behavioral guidance
derailed.
again. All right, so the purpose of behavioral guidance is to encourage certain kind of play.
Yeah.
And when we're doing it at a therapeutic standard, we're trying to fake it till you make it. We're trying to get people to emulate the types of behaviors that we want to see them portray in real life. We want them to encourage them to be empathetic. We want to encourage them to do problem solving, good communication skills. And we're going to guide you along in gaining these skills that you need by practicing them in game. Now, for the average person, the person who's going to be playing at their home game or at pickup games, behavioral guidance isn't a thing that you should be attempting to do outside of the game rules.
Yeah.
You are not the therapist of your players.
Yeah. That
unless you are a paid therapist of your players.
That and I mean, morality is something that can be discussed, but the GM shouldn't be the judge, jury, and executioner on what is morality, because then you have some problematic GMs.
Well, they can definitely, in a public game, you can definitely discuss what type of game you're all willing to have.
Yeah, and that's why I say I don't want them to be judge. I don't want them to be judge, jury, and executioner. Right. I don't want them to be the be-all, end-all. It should be a discussion, and arbitration is definitely it. It is a very touchy subject. Morality is at times subjective.
And even beyond morality, some people might say this is a moral issue. Some people say, no, it's just a linguistic issue.
Yeah.
I do not like swearing.
Correct.
And one of the reasons I don't like swearing is people use it wrong.
Yes.
And another thing is that it's not a comma in a sentence.
Correct.
You don't say, but
bleep.
F word, I must go drink, and my dog, comma, cat, comma, and fish, and replace comma with bleeps. That's not what those things are for.
Yeah.
But so when I have a game, I let people know I do not like swearing, and I request that you keep your language to PG.
Yeah, without the single F-bomb.
Yeah, well, the single F-bomb is PG-13.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. So there are play styles that people are going to be comfortable with.
Yeah.
I'm not telling people you can't have bacchanalias in your game. You can't.
Bacchanalia.
You know who Bacchus is?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Bacchus, the Greek god of wine
and celebrations. Yes.
And he used to participate in things called orgies. It's an old Greek tradition.
Yeah.
But if you want a game around that kind of stuff, as long as everybody is consenting and they want to play that type of game, then go for it. If you want to play an evil game where you are all murder hobos, and you're especially works better if you're playing an open world game where the DM isn't really worried about the story.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard.
Sandbox, yeah.
Yeah, a sandbox, it's easier to do, and you have to be a certain kind of GM. But if that's the kind of game, you can do that. What we're talking here for behavioral guidance is in the therapeutic and educational realms, where I'm trying to teach people that violence isn't the first action you take.
Yeah.
Or that to logically deduce, I have this piece of information, this piece of information, and this piece of information. How do they work together to create a solution or a thought?
Yeah. And I wanted to point out, because, we've made it known I'm not a therapist.
Yes.
but I do use a lot of the concepts. So, one thing that I've learned in my own games is, and Hearth has played in some of my games, where I don't get that many murder hobos because people learn very, very quickly, good or bad, their actions have consequences.
Right.
If you do something good, there are going to be consequences. If you do something bad, there's going to be consequences. If you do something really, really bad, there's going to be really, really bad consequences.
Now, one of the things about consequences is that they should fit the story.
Absolutely, and I always try to make sure that it fits the story.
Hawk used to do this thing where
Thunderclouds.
the thunderclouds are
yeah.
forming and the big blue bolt of lightning comes out because you weren't behaving well enough, or you were doing murder hoboing stuff or whatever, and then your character took damage because he grabs as many die 20s as he can, rolls it down and sees how many hit points you just lost.
Yeah.
Or he'll grab some die 10s and see how many levels you lost.
Yeah, back when, losing levels was a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get away from that kind of concept.
Yeah, because that's a pretty big stick, and we want to encourage. And I actually wanted to bring up another thing because it's less talking about morality, but we've spoken, multiple times about I want to build effective maps.
Right.
And not just like, oh, it's a pretty map. When I bring out a map, I want people to use the map. So I recently, this was in the
now you're talking battle maps, not world maps.
World maps.
World maps.
I want effective world maps. If I have a world map, I want people to use the world map. I don't want just people say, oh, that's pretty. Let's put it up on the wall and use it as a background. No, I want an effective map.
Well, a good example of that is in the One Ring, where you have to use the map stuff for the journey sections.
Right. So one of the things that I felt was it's kind of parallel to this whole behavior guidance thing is something that I did with my Wild Beyond the Witchlight. I took that map, I put hexes on it. I mean, yeah, each hex was supposed to be an hour's travel. I changed it to days. But then everyone knew exactly where they were on the map, and then there were certain things that were time sensitive. So suddenly, for example, Chucklehead was going to die in 30 days. And they really wanted to save Chucklehead.
Right.
So now every day that they spent traveling was one less day that Chucklehead had to survive. And suddenly, that map is useful. Suddenly, there is a motivation to use the map. Would you consider that some type of behavioral guidance just outside of morality?
I call it good storytelling.
Okay.
I'm not going to call it behavioral guidance because their behavior isn't part of using the map as a tool. It is the map itself is being used as a good tool for storytelling.
Okay.
And building the tension. It's like having the clock on the wall. Yes, tension will encourage you to go faster, but that's not what we're really talking about when we're talking about behavior. I too like to use like my battle maps.
Yeah,
and
I love your battle maps.
And I got some really nice detailed Super One. And one of the ways I make those maps more significant than just a grid is I say every object on that map is there. And people suddenly start looking for things that they can use or investigate.
Yeah. So we are going to be going on a 15 minute
minute break.
intermission, and then we will be back for traps and riddles and unboxings.
And today's trap and riddle will be for the wizard. So you're going to have fun with that.
Okay.
And then we're going to unbox actual boxes.
Yay!
Kind of like loot boxes.
Okay.
So we'll have some fun with that. We will see you in approximately 15 minutes.
Yep.
Come back and join us. Check us out on rpgresearch.com.
Yeah. And we will see you in about 15 minutes. Welcome back to the RPG Talk Show. My name is Daniel Ivy, and this is
John Welker, Vice President of RPG Research. What are we doing today?
Well, we dropped the screen because we're going to be doing a little bit of unboxing, and we've changed the layout a bit so that you can actually see John while we're unboxing.
Normally when we're doing unboxing, I look like Wilson. You can only see me from the eyebrows up.
You're expecting people to remember Tool Time and Home Improvement?
I do. Why can't you?
I do, but I'm a millennial. The Gen Zers aren't going to know what Home Improvement is.
So watch old TV.
Okay. Anyway, we're doing traps and riddles,
right?
And then we've got some unboxing to do.
Okay, so this is the third part of our talk show.
Yep.
First part is just talking. Second part is a specific topic of the day.
Yep.
And this is now going to be talking about traps and riddles. And we are doing Challenge of the Champions 2. And it is in Dragon number 69. We're doing the fourth scenario. He's only allowed to use the equipment given to him in the scenario and the spells cast in the scenarios. He's got a couple characters. Without further ado, let's see if we can get him to solve this.
Or fail like I did last time.
You know you succeeded more than you failed.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I still failed.
You did.
Yes.
All right. This scenario is number 4 called Net Dan There. You'll understand the title in a moment.
Okay, so it's not made specifically for me.
Nope.
Okay.
You're not Dan.
Yes, I am.
Well, at least not this time in this character.
Okay, fine.
All right. The next scenario is proctored by a gruff guild warrior named Justin. He leads you to a 10-foot by 10-foot platform with a railing overlooking a larger area made up of pasture land exposed to the outside air.
Okay.
10 feet away is another raised platform, similar in size to the one you're on, except it doesn't have a railing. 30 feet below is a lone ram, gazing contently on mouthfuls of grass.
Ah, I see.
That is Dan, says Justin.
Okay.
Here's your starting equipment. He hands each of you a drawstring bag filled with 50 copper pieces. No need to count them. They're all there, growls Justin.
Okay.
He gives the wizard a ring of spell storing, a 10-foot by 10-foot net, and a broom, explaining that the ring has a Tenzer's floating disc spell stored in it.
Yeah.
And as for the rest of you, one of you gets the ring of telekinesis. It'll move up to 5 pounds. Who wants it?
I'm gonna have my druid use it.
Okay. Now you, pointing to the wizard, come with me.
Uh-huh.
Justin leaves by the door with the wizard, and you see them enter the other platform where Justin snaps a chain on the wizard's foot. Yeah, I don't know. There's a version there. So if you're looking at the picture on the thing, the wizard is on the left, the right hand side of the screen.
Yeah.
And the rest of the party's on the left. The goat is right there in the middle and the bottom.
Yep.
All right. Once he's sure a snug fit, he exits the wizard's platform and returns to the other 3. At the whistle, Justin reads the task briefing. Okay, your task is this time to net Dan over there using only the equipment I gave you. And you, wizard, if you're successful at netting Dan there, you're gonna get your wizard's ring.
Okay.
So the wizard is chained to the corner of their platform.
Yeah.
And you can move in a quarter circle, but you can't quite reach the far corner of the platform.
Okay. And he has he doesn't have the ring on.
He does not have the ring of telekinesis.
But he has a ring of Tenzer's floating disc.
Yes, and he has the net.
He has the net. Okay. So I've got 2 bags of 50 gold pieces.
No, you have 4 bags.
I have 4 bags. Okay.
50 gold pieces.
Okay. And there isn't a net on the other side.
There's no net on the other side.
And the ring of telekinesis can only
carry 5 pounds.
5 pounds. It's each bag 5 pounds?
Each bag is 5 pounds.
Is 5 pounds. Okay. And we need to net. We just need to catch Dan?
Yep, the net weighs 10 pounds.
Okay. Okay. The net weighs 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How much weight does Tensor's floating disc carry?
100 pounds.
100 pounds. And that goat is less than 100 pounds. I'm assuming.
You can assume what you want.
Okay. So, each bag is, you said 5 pounds or 10 pounds?
No, each of the coins bags are worth 5 pounds.
Are worth 5 pounds. Okay. So, this is what we're gonna do. The wizard has the net. The wizard is gonna use the Tensor's floating disc to take the net back over to where his friends were.
Okay.
Okay. Now they have the net. Okay. Then, while the net is attached to the Tensor's floating disc, they're going to tie the bags of coins each onto each corner of the net while it's still attached to while the net is still on Tensor's floating disc.
Okay, so you're tying the coins.
Yeah, to the net.
To the net.
Yeah.
And so you got 3 coins over there because everybody was given coins before the wizard was separated.
Uh-huh.
So what are you doing with the 4th bag of coins?
Oh, that the wizard has?
Yeah.
Oh, in that case, they're going to drop the bag and take the they're going to take the ring of telekinesis and grab that other bag and just bring it back over.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay. Or you can toss it over there.
Yeah.
All right.
Toss it over. Now it's, now I've got a net that has weights on 4 sides.
Right.
Okay. Next, because the wizard can't see anything because he's trapped, the druid is going to, kind of, a little bit to the left, a little bit closer to you, direct the wizard with the, the Tensor's floating disc to situate the net with the 4 weights attached to it, on each 4 corners, over Dan the goat. Is Dan the goat even aware of the net?
Not currently. I mean, if you're just floating it above him, he doesn't seem to be aware that it's above him.
Okay.
So I just want to clarify the scenario here. You now have, and we would add the time that it would take you to do this, so I'm just going to say it out, is that you have the Tensor's floating disc with the net spread out over it.
Yep.
The 4 bags of coins tied to each of the corners.
Yeah.
And you are moving the Tensor's disc directly above the goat.
Yes.
Did you do anything with the broom?
No.
Okay.
I actually forgot that there was a broom. I'm trying to remember. Okay, we just need to net him, right?
Yes, you definitely just need to net him.
Okay, so if we net him on the ground, he'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay. Once it's above him, we're gonna lower it until it's about 10 feet above him. Is he moving yet?
Nope.
10 feet above him, we're going to have the wizard dismiss Tensor's floating disc.
Okay. Just before you dismiss the Tensor's floating disc, the ram does wander off.
Okay. We missed.
Nope. No. Just before you release it. So you stop yourself from releasing it.
Okay. Adjust. 5 feet above the ram. Is the ram moving?
Yeah, the ram has now gone underneath the table.
Okay. So it's just wandering around now?
Yep.
Okay.
Is there any way you can get him to be where you want him to be?
Is the ram eating anything?
Grass.
Grass.
There's grass all over the ground there.
Okay. I mean, I feel like I could use the broom. Other than the broom, is there anything else that I've forgotten to use?
Nope.
No. What's the broom made out of?
Straw, wood.
Straw? My druid is familiar enough with goats. Would the goat be more interested in the straw at the end of the broom than the grass?
So green fresh grass or old dry grass?
I'm asking.
And I'm telling you, they prefer the green grass.
They prefer the green grass.
But we had no problem. It's a goat. It would eat the broom.
Okay, so while the not the druid, but the is the broom 5 pounds? Less
Yes.
than 5 pounds? Okay.
It's less than 5 pounds.
Wonderful. So the rogue is now going to be directing the wizard as to where this goat is with the Tensor's floating disc.
Yeah.
And the druid is going to use the ring of telekinesis to lower the broom down.
Mm-hmm.
Into the middle of the pen where everyone, or at least everyone on her side, can see.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like shake it to entice the goat.
Over towards it?
Yeah.
All right. So we can go ahead and stop the clock. The correct answer is put the net over Tensor's floating disc.
Uh-huh.
Put the weights on the edges.
Like I did.
Use the broom to maneuver the goat.
Uh-huh.
So it's underneath there.
And then drop.
And then drop, and you capture him. You got it.
Okay, so I actually did get it as it's supposed to be.
Yep, you did it according to the rules. Oh, not the rules, but according to the suggested ending. I almost messed that up because I forgot you're supposed to use the broom to get the goat to be where you want it to be.
Uh-huh.
But
when I asked, is the goat wandering? It's like, oh, that's a cue. Gotta use the broom.
Right.
Okay.
Everything was just the way you're supposed to do. If you had had somebody else throw it, you would have, of course, been throwing it with disadvantage.
Yeah.
Now, the reason you would have a problem in the second edition version is because the odds are nobody was proficient in nets.
Oh yeah.
But in the 5th edition version, the problem is that rules as written.
You have an issue with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oi.
You're at disadvantage at every range.
By the way, I do believe. Oh, your goats prefer the dried? You lied to me.
No. I said what that goat was. Our goats prefer dried.
You still lied to me. I'm not sure if I can trust you anymore.
You can trust my wife. She'll keep me honest.
See, that's me taking your advice again. Thank you, PK Dragon, for keeping him in line.
PKT Dragon is short for Pocket Dragon.
Pocket Dragon. Yes.
Yeah, like one of these guys.
Oh, where'd the blue one go?
Louis. There you go. Well, I guess that leaves us time for unboxing. Good job. You did
that's
it.
a drunk dragon.
Yeah, and the twinking on the dwab.
Thank you. Let me hand this back to you. But I'm happy that unlike the other one, I was able to figure that one out pretty well.
Yeah, you did it pretty quickly. I like the other one where you literally didn't get it.
Yeah, I told you last time I wasn't going to be doing no trigonometry. I may be okay at math, but it's not something I enjoy.
All right, now I've set this up, or at least in my schedule that I wrote.
Yeah.
That we are going to do these in what order?
Do you want a dungeon crate or? Well, let me start with taking this out.
So, dungeon crate was our first one.
Okay. And
then wondrous one shots. And then we will discuss the armor class forms.
Okay. So we have Dungeon Crate.
Now, other than Loot Crate, this is the first. Loot Crate had individual boxes that were themed for Dungeons & Dragons.
Yeah.
But other than Loot Crate, this is the first crate service that was dedicated directly for role-playing games.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically for Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder.
Okay.
So, get this once a month. You go to dungeoncrate.com. You can sign up for it.
Haha, right there. Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I want to point out here is rotate the box a little bit and open it up a little bit. Those tokens are coins. So remember when people used to send in box tops to get prizes?
Oh, it's just like that?
It's just like that. We collect those. You get a form that you print out, and you can send those in for neat stuff.
Okay, so I already see we have right here, we've got some bones. We've got some figurines.
Okay, we're going to need to zoom in on these a lot closer. That's one way to do it. Okay, so what is that?
That's a figurine.
Okay, what is the figurine? You can take them out of the packages.
This is a were-rat stalker. That's a were-rat.
It almost looks like a kobold to me.
And there is a name attached to this one. But that's an illithid if I ever saw one. That's a mind flayer.
Yep. Go ahead, take those out of the boxes so people can get a better view of them.
Sure.
Oh, look, I'm Wilson again.
There we go.
All right. So there's our nice little illithid guy.
Yep.
Bones miniatures are pre-primed.
Okay, so you don't have to put a primer on it before you start painting.
Right. Now, Ralpartha miniatures, not all of them are pre-primed, but Bones specific, that range is.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is a were-rat, but it reminds me a little bit of a kobold, the old dog-faced ones.
Yeah, I remember.
So, what's our next toy?
It looks... I think these would be great as inspiration, or at least bardic inspiration, because they're little...
Loots?
They're little loots.
Okay, there's writing on them, isn't there? Put that right up the camera so people can see what's written on it.
It is bardic inspiration.
Yay! Now, these boxes, they're kind of like loot crates. You never know what's going to get into them until you open them.
That is cool. Okay, and then we have a sickle.
Actually, I believe that's a Kopesh.
That doesn't look like a Kopesh. That looks like a sickle.
Okay. Could be. I don't know if they're labeled inside.
Let's see. Dwarf mountain knives.
So this is an actual metal object. Now, I believe that this is one of those things that if we both got these crates, right?
Yeah. Oh, that is weighty.
You would have gotten a different one than I got.
Yeah.
As far as which weapon it would have been. Dwarf Mountain, and
I feel the weight on that.
yeah, it's been made from a nail.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't have an actual sharp edge on it.
Yeah.
But you think that's a sickle and not a khopesh?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to grant that because that curve is pretty extreme.
Yeah, not only that, but you know, back when I was playing 4th edition, I was a fan of the khopesh.
Mm-hmm.
Because mechanically it allowed for some interesting builds. Because it counted both as a heavy blade and an axe.
Right.
And you could take feats for both of them and have all of them work for your single weapon. But that's me metagaming 4th edition.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, this is our code.
Yep.
If you solve that code there, I don't even never bother to solve that code because I will receive an email later with it.
Yeah, there is a mystery dice set.
Nice purple package.
Want to see what I roll?
Now, wasn't the last one all dice?
Oh, these are tiny. These are micro dice.
Yeah. And Hawk has some miniature dice towers that are just built for those little tiny mini dice.
Mm-hmm.
What color are they? They look kind of dark from here.
Purple and yellow.
Ah, good.
Let's get the D20. Focus on that. But yeah, it's purple and yellow.
You might have to put your hand behind it because it's trying to focus on everything else in the room.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull off this trick. Oh, there we go. There we go.
About the size of your thumbnail.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot of these mini dice lately. Like Dungeon Crate here sells what looks like a pocket watch with the chain and everything, but inside the pocket watch is micro dice.
Oh, and you've got a cute sticker. It is purple like the dice. It says Bard.
Goes with the Bardic Inspiration.
Yes.
Too bad the sickle's not a Bardic weapon.
Why can't it be?
I don't know. I'm just thinking like it's all themed here.
Yeah, so you string some wires between.
Oh, you make it a harp?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You got some spell effects. Well, this is Arknight spell effects to scale 5. I guess it's advertisement.
Yeah, and the other side is advertising
the 7-piece, 11-piece blind box sets, all in a mimic box.
Yep, mimic boxes again can be gotten from Dungeon Crate, but I got the Kickstarter, so I got a bunch of extra ones.
So there's also a map for a little camp.
Yep, it comes in handy. I've got some nice 3D pieces I put down for the fire in my camp set.
See, I don't think this is the impressive part. That's a nice map.
Now that map is Dungeon Crate has its own world.
Oh, nice.
So their modules are set in that world.
That's cool.
And it's called Halcyon.
Ah, well, that's what it's labeled as. And then it looks like we've got Rise of the Rat Master.
Goes with the miniature you got there.
Yeah, I guess I would go with the rat. And then Rivolo's Guide.
Rivolo's guides are written for different aspects of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And is that when talking about mummies, or what's the topic?
Haslow's Panacea, consumable divine good necromancy usage held in one hand. I'm not sure what that is.
Let me see. Okay. Okay. Hanselo's Panacea, that is a potion.
Uh-huh.
Haslow's Panacea's 5th edition version So the first one must be Pathfinder.
Ah.
It's adventuring gear, potion, very rare. When you consume Oslo's Panacea, you can regain hit points while under the effects of Mummy Rot. But all sorts of healing restore only half the normal amount of hit points to you. The effect lasts until the next time you hit point maximum is reduced by Mummy Rot. So it's a specific potion designed to save you
from Mummy Rot.
Mummy Rot. And on the other side here, it says it's a guide to hunting mummies.
Oh, okay. And then we have it looks like a 5th level adventure, Disappearing Ink. Although I know it's interesting, it's very appropriate, but disappearing is disappearing, but it makes it difficult to read.
Yeah, you know, until I opened it up from the inside, I didn't know it said Disappearing Ink.
Yeah, it just looked like ink. But I'm not about to get into graphic design talk right now.
Well, it is part of our discussions that we have about whether or not it's accessible.
Yeah, there is some accessibility issues with that, but I also understand the reasoning. It was a decision. It was a decision based off of an idea that I think worked well for what they're trying to do. But
right.
In terms of execution, there are some problems.
Well, once you open it up, you figure it out.
Yeah.
And eventually we are going to do a play test of one of these modules.
Yeah.
I have run some of the modules from here, and my players' responses are, when are we going to do another Dungeon Crate module?
Oh, okay.
So it's been an acceptable response, in my opinion.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. Boxing all of this back up for your convenience. Do you mind if I toss the sticker and the Bardic Inspiration and the...
No, that's fine there. The main important part that has to get home is the paper, because that belongs to my cat.
Oh, this paper?
Yeah.
Right there. I am not about to deny your cat the treats it so desperately deserves. Every cat should have crinklies to play with.
Yeah. When we finally get the actual play test going, we will eventually run a Dungeon Crate module. Which one? I don't know. Probably an old one.
Okay.
I like the Vampirates one they did.
Okay. So that was Dungeon Crate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got some additional trash here. And then we have Dungeon in a Box.
Yeah, Wondrous One-Shots.
Yes.
Now, Wondrous and One-Shots are one of a group of different things they have. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, before I forget, Dungeon Crate has some, like, a Halloween-specific box.
Oh, okay.
And a Dungeon Master starter box, and some other thing, one that's going to be like all dwarves, all elves.
You're trying to entice me to start, buying this, aren't you?
Well, those aren't part of a subscription.
Uh-huh.
So you get one box for the Halloween one, and that's it. $60.
I'm going to have to speak with some of the people who affect my purse strings to decide whether or not that is. And Hearth, you're not the only one, so no, you don't get to just veto my decline of this. No, I know we all love Halloween, but $60 is $60.
Yeah. So Wondrous One-Shots, one of the other ones they do
it has
is
cat crinklies.
Cat crinklies. Yep, my cat loves these.
This is a wonderful material for your cats. They will like playing with.
You don't have to sell the paper. My cat is already convinced.
Okay.
But they also do a year-long campaign for, each box delves into a story.
Okay, so this one already has a winter wolf. It looks very Fursona-esque to me, but I'm not opposed to that art style. I just know that's an art style.
Yeah. Okay. So these are cards.
Yeah.
Are there stats on the back sides?
Yes. There are stats on the backside.
Okay.
So we've got a Winter Wolf.
Yep. So these are creature cards.
This is pet-centric because you've got a Blink Kitty,
Yeah.
which looks like a Displacer Beast.
It looks like a Displacer Beast,
Yeah.
but with the copyright scratched.
Yeah. the cat probably got to it.
Yeah.
We've got a Red Dragon Whelp.
Okay. I think this might be the Pokemon one.
I think so. There's the Frostfire Worm.
Because they have a whole...
And that also looks like it's had the copyright scratched out of it, because that looks like a Remoraz.
Yep.
But, a young one. A Quaddle. And the copyright hasn't been scratched out of this, because Quaddle is older than... the concept of Quaddle is older than America.
Yeah, the entire...
It's, I believe, Aztec?
It is.
It was either going to go with Aztec or Incan. So, but I figured it's snake. So, there's a lot of snakes in the Aztec, mythology. We've got a Chimera.
The feathered serpent specifically.
Yeah. We've got a Chimera. Oh, this is wonderful. One of my favorite creatures. The land shark. Although I do believe Boule is a historical creature.
I think it might be, but more importantly, it's better safe than sorry.
Better safe than sorry, yes. So just like the Tarask is a historical creature. There's the Dragon Turtle. This one's a spy ball. I wonder why they called it that. But, I think this is beautiful, but that's in the eyes of the beholder.
Yeah, beauty's definitely in the eye of the beholder.
A reticulated purple worm. A shambling mound. My wife is going to love, and I say this sarcastically, this one. It's a giant fuzzy spider. She does not like spiders. At all. We've got a cloaker. Now this one I'm curious about. Because I know Gorgon, the concept, is not copyright. Because we've got it from mythology, where Medusa was a Gorgon.
Right.
But in D&D...
The ram, the bull Gorgon might be... That particular depiction of a Gorgon might be a copyright infringement.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know it gets weird. We've got a unicorn. We've got a hoot bear.
Yeah. Hoot bear.
That is adorable. But as is the jackalope.
One of my favorite critters.
Now, I have an issue with this one. The clockwork construct. I know that this is reminiscent of the Mordrons, which I believe is copyright.
I think even the artwork on that would be... the wings are in a different place.
Yeah. It depends on how trademarked it is. But my issue isn't with Mordrons, it's what they replaced. See, I like the Formins. The centaur ants. And
Right.
the last time I saw them were in 3rd edition. And I think they're far more interesting because having an entire sentient civilization based off of ant politics, I think is interesting.
Now, I do want to point out something about this.
Mm-hmm.
This, I had to look it up. When I was saying Pokemon. There is a new Kickstarter coming out. It's called the Monster Trainer's Handbook, 5e Campaign Supplement and Setting.
Yeah.
It is from Dungeon in a Box.
Yeah.
It's called Monster Trainer's Handbook. And it is basically, it is Dungeons & Dragons Pokemon.
Okay. So we've got
And it has not been released yet, but this is your preview.
Yeah, this is Curse of the Cobra Pharaoh. Wondrous one-shots.
I don't think that's supposed to be the Pokemon one shot. I think the
either.
cards may be separate. I don't know. Haven't read the module.
Haven't yet. But that, you know, it looks like we've got 2 mummy-based things already. They really should have done this around Mother's Day.
Your mummy's going to be so disappointed that, in fact, your father's now dead. So mummy and dead.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
My mom knows who I am.
I'd hope so.
She knows what type of person I am. Oh, this is a nice quality map.
I don't. Oh, I love their maps.
Oh.
It's one of the reasons I'm still getting this, even though every month I tell myself I'm going to quit.
You can quit anytime you want.
And I don't want.
Those are some beautiful maps.
Yep, and those are related to the module there.
Mm-hmm. We have the quality control, and then we also have these. Which are the figurines. They pop out. There's the back.
Yeah, these are Arknight type figures. I believe they might even be from Arknight.
I don't know why I hadn't thought of the concept of a mummified sphinx before, but I like that design.
And these are custom made for these sets, so these are only available here. This is a 3D object.
I see that. Do you mind if I open this?
No, I don't mind. In fact, you can assemble it if we have the time.
Let's see here. Ooh. Let's pop that open. Get this out of the way. Let's see here. So, got these. And that's the back. And then, so I'm guessing this is a trap room.
A tower of some sort.
Yeah. So,
Module might be able to tell you.
I'm the type of person who would get a Lego set and then try to build it without the instructions.
Right?
Yeah.
Where is that?
Come on. I'm gonna pop these out. There we go. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's got like we've got some small pieces there. There we go. These small additional pieces. That is stuck on there. Okay. There we go. So let's see here. So looks like some type of gates. And let's see here. Ah, okay. So this is probably gonna go in here. 1 and 2. I guess the other side. That's pretty nice. Let's get the top on there. Or actually, no, let's get the walls in first.
So last one that we opened was called Druids of the Dark Spring.
Yeah.
Your party arrives in Sanctuary, a remote druidic village with an incredible gift, the Companions of the Wild. But it's not all druids are content to share their gift with outsiders seek to help the monsters and friends all to themselves. The party able to forge new friendships and stop the villainous circle of Dark Spring's Exclusionist goals. Druids of the Dark Spring accommodates a party of up to 5 adventurers between 3rd and 5th level to be played as a one-shot or part of a larger story in a 5e compatible campaign. And the critters that are shown here for the character tokens and the maps and everything, those cards are from the last set. That's why they don't make any sense in the Egyptian spring.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, the module Curse of the Cobra Pharaoh, an ancient evil awakens. Your party delves in the lost tome of Queen Anibate after a research team goes missing. A terrible mummy lord, Sifu the usurper, is released from his eternal prison and immediately resumes his evil ambitions. Can adventurers defeat the serpentine schemer, or will they succumb to his powerful curse? Curse of the Cobra Pharaoh is an adventure designed for 10th to 11th level party of 3rd to 6th adventures. Adventures can be slotted into an existing campaign or played by itself. Now, when you get these, so you have a subscription, you get access to all of the digital content from the previous ones.
Okay.
Including the most latest ones. And you can download character tokens or use the 3D minis.
Okay, I don't think
monster
that works.
Tokens.
Let's see here.
Oh, that is obviously a portcullis.
Yeah. I feel like I'm missing something though.
And there, all the maps that we see here, this two-sided map here, you can print out new copies of. So you can print out your characters and maps and anything.
I think this is pretty decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great castle guard doorway, and you got a little thing there to lock it open at the different levels.
Oh, that one, is that what that's for?
Yeah, so those slots, you put it in the slots there, and if you want the gate to sit still, you use both of them.
Okay. That makes sense.
And you can have it at, 3 different levels, it looks like.
Come on, in you go, in you go.
I really like the maps. I've always enjoyed their maps, and I do find uses for them in different games.
Mm-hmm. I like that this looks like it could be reused in a bunch of different things.
Oh, yeah.
I like it whenever, an item that you get is generic. I don't want to say generic enough, but reusable enough that, you're not just limited to what they've produced for you.
Funny thing, one of our clients wrote their own module.
Yes.
And when they wrote their own module, they had certain details like a scarecrow and the maze and the farmhouse that we're supposed to be in, and on the second levels, and all of these things. And after he wrote this, Wondrous One Shots released a Halloween story one that it was almost as if they had been listening in on his story and stole it. It was called Dread Harvest. And it had the corn maze, it had the farmhouse, and it had a 3D part for the farmhouse terrain. And so we got to use the maps and minis from this particular set in his story.
Nice.
Including some of the bizarre monsters that he wrote. That it was, I swear to God, if I hadn't seen that he had written his first before this came out, I I would assume that one of them would have stolen from the other.
Is this the reason why the client is now looking into internet security?
I think that was a plan of his all along. But I think you remember the module we ran.
I do remember it.
And the fact that we did use the things from Dread Harvest for the module. Mm-hmm. So that one's from the last box.
Yeah. And these are adorable. And yeah, they do have the stats on the back. Yeah. Well, that is cool. I'm happy to. I think this is nice. That's very nice.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to talk to Dungeon in a Box to see if they willing to give us other sets, or what we can do. The more they give us, the more unboxings we will do of their products.
Yeah.
What is that in behind the portcullis?
Oh, I put the quality control card in there.
Oh, okay. I thought like.
I got bored. There's a quality control card. There's the back of it.
And is this an Illithid again? Yeah, the quality control is always apparently done by Illithids.
I'm not sure. Okay, that may explain why they were able to get his stuff. Forget about internet security. We need psychic blockers now.
Yeah. I love the animal-headed servant with the hippo.
Yeah.
Because I can definitely use that as a...
Well, they're very much themed after Egyptian gods.
Right, but I'm looking at my Spelljammer game.
Oh, yes. The GIF?
The GIF, and then we have a tabaxi here. It's GIF.
It's GIF.
There are a few things in the world where the original artist is just wrong. The guy who's saying it's GIF is just the guy who invented the GIF file is just trolling people when he's calling it a GIF, because it's a graphic interface, not a giraffic interface. Oh, that reminds me.
It looks like we have one person who's declared which hill they're going to die on.
Yep. We just recently found out that Hello Kitty officially is not a cat, but a little girl.
What?
And my wife and I will die on the hill. No, she's a kitten. Looks like a kitten, talks like a kitten, has the ears of a kitten, and her name is Hello Kitty.
Yes. What is that? Ba?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello. Oh, okay. So yeah, you have my allegiance here. Hello Kitty is a kitty.
Yeah. Even though she has a pet cat, she is a cat too.
Yeah.
Just like
Mickey Mouse is a mouse. Mickey Mouse has a dog.
And his best friend is a dog.
Don't ask.
So I mean, come on, folks. Yeah. Sometimes the original person, the person in charge, doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, Do
you know why D&D orcs originally had pig faces?
Why?
To separate them from the Tolkien orcs.
Okay, that makes sense.
It was a copyright infringement.
Okay.
Tolkien invented the orc monster based on an old word that actually meant goblin.
That's why there's so much overlap between goblins and orcs.
Yeah,
it's Tolkien's fault.
Yeah, well,
okay.
One of the main reasons there's an overlap between in the Tolkien world, Lord of the Rings, a goblin is just a short orc. They're all really the same thing.
Okay. Try not to block Yocker.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So we have our things. Oh, and we are running out of time, so we really need to get into the last product we're looking at.
Oh, yes.
Almost forgot about these. There is a company. They're from Denmark, and they call themselves Armor Class. And I'm sure we have a link for that as well. They have been asking people to do reviews of these things and they're offering a $20 gift card. We're not interested in the $20 gift card because we want to tell you what we think about it, not an advertisement for what they think about it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if this is important.
This is one of their products. Since you got that one out there, let's talk about it now. Flip it around so you can see the backside. What this is supposed to represent is a journal.
Oh, okay.
Now, when you look on the inside, what do you see there?
So it looks like a logbook. It's a logbook.
Yep. It looks like it's mainly designed on this one is to keep track of treasures and things like that.
Yeah, logbook for rations, treasure, quest items, and a ledger. If you need something a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Bookkeeping?
Bookkeepery for your treasure and whatnot.
All right. Now, in my current game, the one I do on Saturdays, this is actually something that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because we are keeping track of the equipment on your boat, on our ship, the ledger of how much money we have and spending. It's a survival game.
Okay.
So keeping track of all these extra details is a good idea. Now, I love the artwork.
Yeah.
I love the concept. I am disappointed in the number of pages. I don't have an easy way to put in more pages.
Yeah.
And
do you know if they sent like a PDF?
That is a PDF.
That is a PDF?
So I can separate the cover.
Yeah.
And I am going to separate the cover and use it for the cover of the captain's log.
Okay.
But it'll be fully wide open. And I want... My biggest complaint is I want more of it.
Okay.
I want...
That's not a bad complaint.
Yeah. And I would like to see some that are specific towards ships, either Spelljammer or... Ghosts of Salt Marsh type ships. But that's it. Let's take a look at this. What
So
is
we've
that
got the quick reference. This looks a general reference for difficulty class. It looks like it's specific for Dungeons and Dragons. We've got character skills.
Everything from our class is specifically to Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, okay. So we've got a breakdown of the character skills. Round down. Just a reminder that fractions are usually round down. Contests. When two people compare to achieve something, both make an appropriate ability check, the higher result wins. On a tie, the situation remains the same as it was before the contest.
Okay. So do you have a top marker up there where I wrote a note?
DM. This is for the DM.
Okay, so this is they have a player's cheat sheet and a DM's cheat sheet. This is a Dungeon Master's cheat sheet, which actually has a couple pages. My first complaint is the fact that I had to write DM.
Yeah, I can see how that's a problem.
Just as quick reference, I had to write the word Dungeon Master. These, I think, instead of printing out like I did the first set here, these make a great screen references.
Yeah.
Dungeon Master screens. But these are also great for new Dungeon Masters.
Yeah.
Remind me of things. You know, one of the things I always have to look up almost every other session that somebody, every other session I'm saying, people ask me, do you round up or round down?
Then you can just point to this.
Yeah, because I keep forgetting.
And then we've got rules for exploration. The issue that I have with that, I've tried using the exploration rules. I don't think that cheat sheet is going to help me.
Well,
only because I feel like the exploration rules in Dungeons and Dragons is I'm main a ranger. The exploration rules aren't that well supported.
Right.
The cheat sheet isn't going to help.
So that's the rules falling out. What do you think of the artwork?
Okay.
Is there too much artwork? Is the artwork appropriate?
So,
I mean, it's got a specific style to it.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, the artwork's not my thing, but that's just personal preference. I feel like it's a bit too minimalistic. That said, I don't think it's too detracting, which is
Right.
an accessibility issue that we tend to, look at when it comes to artwork.
Right.
I do know though that there are some people who are going to have problems with placement of that artwork.
I should point out these things are extremely inexpensive.
Yeah.
You're getting them as PDFs. So we got here the first thing. We got 2 pages there.
Yeah.
I want to go into more detail. We'll do it on an actual playtest day.
Yeah.
Because I want to get into the other ones. This is the player quick reference.
Yeah. So we had combat on one side and conditions on the other.
Right. That was a 4-page one.
Yeah.
So the player's quick reference.
We've got actions, death and 0 hit points, starting combat for initiative, critical hits and reactions, opportunity attacks, spell casting, losing concentration, bonus action spells, spell save DC. Yeah.
And there's more on the back.
And on the back we have conditions for blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, grappled, incapacitated, invisible, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, stunned, or unconscious. And they have the picture of a... Okay, that one I'm going to have a problem with. Because we've got a snake in the middle. And that is coming in and out of the words. That
Right.
can be a problem.
Could be. And of course, we have conditions on both the players and the DM side because both
Yeah.
of them need to know this stuff. Now, over here, I'm going to.
Now,
these.
I wanted to add, though, as someone who has made something similar to that for my home game, one of the things that I preferred to do was actually use some of the artwork that they have in the PHP as examples of the conditions so that, there's a visual representation of being
Right.
dazed.
This is just an example of me printing it out for the DM screen.
Yeah.
My only problem, again, with this DM screen version is I'm short. I need my DM screens to go
I
like
prefer half screens as well.
this. So that was the combat. Okay, so the DM's one. Oh, here we go. Another one. This has got even more information on it. This is character creation.
Okay.
And you've already done.
And we have also one for leveling up.
Yep. Here are the players.
Uh-huh.
How to play. You already showed these off?
Not yet.
Okay. So these are player cheat sheets.
Yeah.
The others were Dungeon Master cheat sheets and guides.
And
things.
I'm seeing some issues, again, with these arrows, where it's coming in and out of the text. That's a problem for accessibility.
Well, it could be. I think if we look at them closer, that because the text goes over the top, it might not be. We're going to have to look closely in this when we do a actual play test. What we'll do is we'll do a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition play test, like maybe a Wondrous one-shot, and we will try to utilize the sheets in actual testing, and you can all watch it here.
Yeah. Now, mind you, when I'm talking about that accessibility issue, I'm not talking about an accessibility issue for myself, but we have come across people who have, for example, dyslexia, where that's going to cause a problem for them.
Right.
Yeah. But that should be close to all we have for today.
Yeah, those are the items that we have. Sorry we had to rush through the other one a little bit. But, we never really get into depth about the unboxings, which is why we have the playtest coming up.
Yeah, we're still working on that. It's going to get here as quickly as we can. Do you have an idea on what our main topic for next week is going to be?
Oh, my goodness.
Or is that something we're going to have to talk about, and we'll just have to surprise people?
It's going to be a surprise.
There we go.
We will figure that out as soon as we get off the air. We'll hash out what it is, and we will announce it online.
Yeah.
Somewhere secret where nobody will find it.
Mm-hmm.
But
so our main page.
Right. So let's kind of wrap this up here.
Yeah.
I do want to appreciate everybody who's watched, everybody who's commented.
Yes.
Send us your emails. Send us your tweets, Twitters. We're on everything. most everything at their website /RPG Research. That's Facebook, Twitter, the photo thing, Snapchat, Instagram.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
And if you feel like there's a suggestion for us to be better, we're always looking to be better. So we'd appreciate that.
And one of the things that will help us be better, in addition to your feedback, is, of course, money. RPG Research is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we survive or die on donations.
Yeah. And we are, tax, you can write us off on your taxes if you...
That's why we're a 501c3.
Yeah.
That means we're tax deductible.
If you've got rich friends, or if you're rich yourself and you need a tax write-off, we would very much like to be your tax write-off.
Yes, we need sponsors. We will accept sponsors, but we also have the rule that we are not going to do a commercial for your role-playing product. We will give you an honest review of your role-playing product.
Yeah.
But help us keep on the air. Help us bring back the community center.
Yeah.
Help us get the museum finally opened. We have a role-playing game museum which covers the history of Dungeons and Dragons all the way, and all role-playing games. We even delve a little bit into the history of the games that brought forth role-playing games.
Yeah. But until then, we will see you next week.
Good night and dream well.
Good night.